Good evening. The Sacramento City Council will come to order. Please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Councilmember Ashby, Councilmember Harris, Vice Mayor Hansen, Councilmember Carr, Councilmember Jennings, Councilmember Guerra, Councilmember Chenier is expected momentarily. Mayor Steinberg.
I'm here. Thank you.
And for the record, Councilmember Warren is absent this evening.
He's absent this evening. Very good. Thank you. Would Mr. Raya please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We'd sure appreciate it. Come on up, George. Or now you come right up to the mic. Be on TV.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
All right, let us closed session report. Mr. Riak? Nothing?
We have nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let us begin with public testimony for items not on the agenda. How many speakers do we have tonight?
It looks like I have about 12 speakers. The first one is Eric Frame, then Richard Wake, then Ron Elmsley. Mr. Frame?
Hello again. Thanks for picking me first this time. It's nice. Okay, so we heard a few weeks ago that this is going to be the year of housing, according to Mr. Steinberg. I also hear we're going for 1,000 tiny homes over the course of 3 years. So 2 years. 2 years. Okay, that's better. But yeah, I hope to see these tiny homes as soon as possible because we do have people dying out there on the streets. We have 2 of your citizens dying each week on the streets. Now, you can't call it a state of emergency or city emergency. Push your friend Jerry Brown to call a state of emergency, which we really need because we do have people dying on the streets right now. To be honest, I feel like your true colors are shown when you don't even talk about calling a state of emergency because your citizens are dying. So how many tiny homes this year? Can we get a really good breakdown on when these tiny homes are going to arrive? Let's go for some public housing as well, because we deserve this. After so long, people have suffered in the streets. I think public housing is deserved with your citizens passing away each week. Meanwhile, we're still a hub of child trafficking, according to the FBI. The district attorney, at her final hearing, or her final budget proposal on June 13th, she dedicated less than $100,000 to the investigation of human and child trafficking, which seems quite fishy given that we are the hub of child trafficking, according to the FBI. Now, I do know all of you have endorsed her.
Excuse me, not appropriate for,
Why not?
for the council. You got 7 seconds, so
Okay.
say whatever you want.
Well, my name's Eric Frame. I'm running for state senate as an independent.
That's not appropriate. This is a public venue. You're done. Out. Goodbye. See you later.
My next speaker is Richard Wake, then Ron Elmsley, then Robert Copeland.
Well, I'm going to follow up on what Eric Frame said. I do think it's appropriate to note that all of you did endorse Anne-Marie Schubert for re-election. Many of you were Democrats and received endorsements from the Democratic Central Committee.
Mr. Wake,
and Mr. Hansen, I'm going to take my 2 minutes. Mr. Hansen and Mr. Guerra are also voting members of the Central Committee, and so is School Board Member Darrell Wu. And I'll tell you, we're getting tired of Mr. Hansen staring down at his cell phone and not paying attention to us also when we're speaking.
Mr. Wake, direct your comments to the mayor, not personal attacks
but listen,
on members. End of story.
So the bottom line is Councilmember Hansen and Councilmember Guerra are violating the bylaws of the Democratic Central Committee by endorsing Republicans.
Why don't you take it to the Central Committee? See you later.
No,
Bye-bye.
I'm going to take my 2 minutes. I have the right to say what I want. Look, Anne-Marie Schubert, like Eric Frame just said, she's not doing anything about sex trafficking. She failed to prosecute Kevin Johnson for any wrongdoings that he did. She's not prosecuting the Nazi that stabbed the people over at the Capitol when the riots took place at the Capitol, despite several citizens hashtagging her on Twitter saying that they had evidence on their cell phones that the gentleman, Derek, whatever his name is, did stab people at the Capitol because they have it recorded on their cell phones. What is wrong with Ms. Schubert? Many of you people endorsed Maggie Krell for district attorney when she ran 4 years ago. What makes you people think that she deserves to be reelected now when every single one of you up here are Democrats? Mr. Hansen and Mr. Guerra and Darrell Wu need to be removed from the Democratic Central Committee. They violated the bylaws of the Central Committee.
Stop at the Central Committee.
There's a place for them. It's the Republican Party. Go online to the Secretary of State's office and re-register as Republicans. In Spanish, you would say, que asco.
Okay, Mr. Wake, take it to the Central Committee. See you later. Bye-bye. Next.
My next speaker is Ron Elmsley, Robert Copeland, and then Pastor Joan Lewis Kennard.
In the newspaper not too long ago, there was a murder at a CB Circle, and Mr. Hansen was hoping for security, more lighting, and stuff like that. Well, CB Circle, it says, used to have pop officers. Oak Park used to have pop officers. That's history, you know, it's not going to come back because that was free money from the feds. Let's see, a man shot, killed in North Sacramento. At the end, they're offering up to $1,000 reward, up to $1,000. Now, what can you buy for $1,000? A little over 100 campaign yard signs. That's, you know, it doesn't make sense. Now, there was a dog that was tortured and killed. Now, they offer up to, let's see, I believe it's $7,000 for a dog. So we can get the city animal control. So if you're a dog and brutalized, you're worth more than a human being that was just shot and killed. That doesn't make sense, but there's other things that don't make sense. What if all the police officers had a contract that there would be 2 in each car that's cruising? The fire department does that. They pack 4 into a fire. You know, it doesn't move unless they got 4. So it'd be nice if you treated the police with such lavish wages and benefits and job protection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Robert Copeland, Pastor Joan Lewis Kennard, and then Barbara Stanton.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the city clerk for asking me what my name really is. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody know about the No Place Like Home Act that was passed in 2016? Well, speak up, Mayor Steinberg. We want to know what's going on with the No Place Like Home Act.
I'll answer it after you're done, because I
Okay.
think it's fair.
And I have more respect for the city vice mayor of Richmond, California, than our own vice mayor. Because I know the guy. I respect our vice mayor of Richmond, Steve Hansen.
Hey, and no attacks on people. Come on, just what's your opinion on an issue of the day? Come on.
Well,
Keep it. What do we need to
why
be
do you
doing
always interrupt everybody today?
Just
That's the reason why you're failing, Mayor Steinberg. What I'm going to do in 2018 is get more affordable housing, rent control, and I don't care what the city council does about that, because we'll go around the city council if they don't do their job. If you want a world-class city, get some housing for everybody that can enjoy it. Unless you get some housing for people, jobs are not going to want to come to Sacramento where employers have to pay a fortune in salary. Use your brains for once. I'm thinking Mac Worthy's right about this city council. There's nobody that knows economics in this town that's on the city council. This city council is failing Sacramento. Why? We were willing to help. But since you put up roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, or not saying what you're going to do for a whole freaking year, and a lot of you a lot longer than that, when are you going to get serious about the homeless population and helping the homeless population? I don't think you're serious.
Time is up. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. I do want to answer the question that you raised about No Place Like Home, which is the $2 billion housing bond that the legislature passed in 2015 that I was the sponsor of. It is using some of the Prop 63 money to securitize a bond, $2 billion. It's caught up in a state regulatory process right now because there are some folks who think the money should only be used for services, not housing. I argue housing. And so the litigation needs to be resolved and worked out before the money can get out to the people. But I can tell you I'm fighting very hard to get that money out as quickly as possible. It's caught up in the state regulatory process. That's the answer. It's a lot of money. It would help our community a lot. Okay, who's next?
Pastor Joan Lewis Kennard, and then Barbara Stanton.
Excuse me, sir? You're out of here. Go.
You're a jackass, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. You're out. Goodbye. We're not going to tolerate uncivil behavior. This is the people's chamber. You're out.
Everything is allegedly.
Out.
This one is not allegedly. Campbell Soup wanted to have sex with me at 41 years old. My MIS Management and Information Systems manager gave me my yearly evaluation in the boiler room at Campbell Soup Company, Franklin and 47th Avenue, April or May 1993. Donald Sutton of Campbell Soup in Camden, New Jersey said there's no proof of it, but it did happen. I'm letting Mr. Stanton know and the world that this happened to me. I left the United States of America to live in England. The same thing is happening there in England, allegedly, as is happening here in the United States. Not having non-consensual sex with to keep our jobs, male or female, beautiful, just beautiful. When I came back from England, I wore my black. I will tell it every Tuesday till this is finalized at Campbell Soup Company. Legalize prostitution to help the homeless population, stop sex trafficking, rape, incest, with the mentally challenged adults, little children. Now, non-consensual sex to keep their job. After I told Mr. Stanton, a few days later, I went to the mental institution for 9 days concerning non-consensual sex with me to keep my job. Ooh, child, things are going to be easier. Ooh, child, things are going to be brighter. Car insurance is high.
My next speaker is Barbara Stanton, and then John Lee.
Ms. Stanton?
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Steinberg and council members. Barbara Stanton, Ridership for the Masses. And some of the council members have already heard this, but I'm bringing it to you because you appoint people on boards. So at the last Regional Transit Board meeting, we spoke because RT is going to go to once-a-month meetings and how it was not a good thing, especially for public input. And if we felt if board members could not make meetings 2 times a month, then perhaps it is time to change the composition of the board. The PUC says nothing about non-electeds being on the board. It only says that city council and county supervisors can sit on the board, but it says nothing about having non-electeds on the board. Then we heard that Mayor Steinberg was looking for someone to take the place of Rick Jennings on the RT board. I don't know if that was true or not, but I heard that today.
Not to take the place of Mr. Jennings, did a great job, but to appoint someone from the private sector.
But you haven't found anybody yet. So we're up here to say to you tonight that we suggest that the city already has a process in place for people to be appointed to various boards and commissions to serve as either a standalone member or a representative of the city council person. So we're suggesting, why not add the RT board to your boards and commissions vacancy lists and choose through that process, not just now, but in the future should openings arise. Thank you.
You know what? It's a very constructive suggestion. I'd like to think about it. And
You have the boards and commissions.
thank you. No. I understand.
know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is John Lee, and then David Andre.
Hi there. Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm from Fairy Tale Town, and we're just here to give you a quick update on the free children's program that we're doing here at Fairy Tale Town. About 5 years ago, Fairy Tale Town has started hosting the Sacramento Children's Theater program. Sacramento Children's Theater was founded in 1939 by the Junior League, and this provides free live stage entertainment for children. Most of these children, this is going to be the first live stage show they've ever seen. For some of them, it will be the only live stage show they will ever see, so we're very proud of this program. This is the 79th consecutive year, and we're very happy to say that we've set a new record for the number of children in schools being served. 10,770 children, that's almost 11,000 children, and their teachers from 108 different schools in the region are going to participate. We're going to bus them in, we're going to show them a free show, and we're going to take them home again. And that's good news for us and good news for the community. So thank you guys for helping us out with that, and hey, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Next speaker is David Andre, and then Pastor Gainsborough.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to bring up the fact that we have all these funding supposedly coming, the Whole Person Care Act and all that. It's coming from the state. I guess stuff's tied up in the committees and stuff about it.
No.
But what happened?
Place like home.
No place like home. What happened to the money that we already have set up for homeless shelters and for homeless services? Because it seems like we don't really have a whole lot going on for the amount of money. I mean, it seems like to me, and I imagine a lot of other people, we see a lot of money going into it, and we've seen the shelter not start up till December 1st, you know, and it seems like a lot of money was just like sitting in the bank somewhere. I, for one, and a lot of other people would like to actually see a breakdown like we had before when we had 17.5 million, and out of the 3 million that actually went for services, most of that went to the police department. We'd like another chart like that, a breakdown. Is that possible?
Sure. Happy to provide you a breakdown.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Pastor Gainsborough, and then Jacob Brandt.
Pastor?
Mayor and council, good to be here. I want to commend you on the really audacious goal of putting in print to target 1,000 tiny houses. That's phenomenal. And all those watching, I ask them to pray for that to come to pass. Last week I mentioned the two types of people in a triage shelter. I started using the word triage here at the microphone about 1.5 years ago. I'm glad to see it part of the city's vocabulary now. Triage 1 is just those who are looking for shelter, like the 10 people who were out in the rain and the wind two weeks ago after city council. Triage 1 is just shelter, but triage 2 is ready to move along the continuum of care. And so I just want to encourage to that being implemented with the navigators and the resource counselors. My third point tonight is the ratio. And last week, Mayor Steinberg said back to me that they're working on cutting the ratio from, Sacramento Steps Forward started with a ratio of 1 navigator for 150 homeless.
Now we know it's 1 to 50 at the triage shelter, but to be effective, it's got to be laser focused to 1 to 10 or 1 to 15. So you council members, I pray that you step up on that for the placement, because when the shelter closes or is reevaluated March 31st, let's have some specific results. We've only got a month left to change that ratio for effective success ratios. My fourth point is the people sleeping out in the rain there that you unfortunately don't see, but they're out there. There was 7 last week. There were 10 in the rain and wind. We need to reopen the emergency weather and rain shelter like Southside Park.
Thank you,
And the last thing as I close, Heavenly Father, I ask that you speak to the mayor and to all of the city council for the common decency of providing public outdoor toilets for the several thousand homeless in the city. I ask it in Jesus' name.
I have 9 more speakers for items not on the agenda. The next is Jacob Brandt, then Mary E. Tapple, and then Mackenzie Wilson.
Hello, Mayor, council members. I was snapping earlier because you addressed one of the speakers to address you and not personal attacks, and then you spent about 30 seconds not...
Come on, stop. Tell me what's on your mind.
What's on my mind is
we don't need you to join the same crew here who just demeans and makes... What's on your mind?
Simple information.
What's on your mind?
Also simple information. I would like land to help the homeless. I'm writing the CEOs of fast food restaurants asking for sponsorships because I have been cleaning up our streets. I think it's a failure of the sewer district to allow poop, cigarette butts, styrofoam in our sewer drains before the rain. They removed all the people by loaves and fishes, yet did not clean out the storm drains. I've been cleaning those out. I've been cleaning the streets, and we can't stop it. So people sleeping on the streets are being fed because people want to feel good about themselves. So, hey, let's feed and clothe them. But we see clothes on barbed wire hanging, being dried out because they got wet. We see food that they can't always eat strewn across the streets, feeding the birds, and the birds just kind of fly around and then pooping everywhere on people's cars and things. But that aside, we need to harness our talents. So I want to ask for land to work with them. So if I have land, then I can pitch the CEOs that, hey, look, I'm working with Sacramento to actually do something.
Are you with an organization?
No, because I believe humanity is better than is organized through itself, rather than through all these bureaucracies and red tapes, because you have funds that are being held up. That money is there, but it's being held up. Well, money is still there, so let's just grab it and do it. Let's put the money to use so we can actually live happily together. Because we shouldn't keep arguing and bickering and doing all this stuff, but we have nothing else to do, because we don't have the money to do it, so we have to come up here and use our words. And I'm about out of words right now. So thank you for your time. Pray for those who need it, because the weather is cold. And thank you.
Speakers Mary Tapple and then Mackenzie Wilson.
Hello, Mayor, members of the City Council. First, a big congratulations for the successes of the Winter Triage Shelter, and a big thank you to Jeff Harris for detailing those successes in his District 3 newsletter. Also, a big thanks to Mayor Steinberg for sticking to your guns about 1,000 tiny homes first, no matter who says what. It was very needed. And I feel that particularly the Winter Triage Shelter is very good and very needed for differently abled women who have been living alone and who were unsheltered before they entered this Winter Triage Shelter. I really hope that they will be among those who will be housed in the program, and I suspect they are very motivated to get housed. Another shout out for our city police department. I understand it's probably the impact team that was responsible for rounding up the loose pit bulls that before this shelter opened were always seeming to be there, roaming around together with no human around, no leashes. And they seem to be a present threat, also the trenching being done by people in the area. And anyway, since we reported it through Captain Seifert of the North Area Command, she passed it on to the police impact team, and no pit bulls, not a single loose pit bull has reappeared in my and Mario Herrera Rupert's notice. And by the way, I can put in another shout out also to that Fairy Tale Town Children's Theater program. Good thing I don't need to go always with my bodyguard, volunteer bodyguard Mario, to the River Parkway, because he's been working I can testify that they rehearse very often, very hard, and he reportedly has a leading role. So please go to see it if you care to, or sponsor a kid. It's the Fairy Tale Town Children's Theater. They start performances this Thursday, I believe, and they go all the way through March, all the way to early March. They don't even take off President's Week.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much,
Appreciate
all
your
of you.
coming. Appreciate it.
Next speaker is Mackenzie Wilson, and then Fago.
Mackenzie?
What's up, you guys? My name is Mackenzie Wilson, and I am a Sacramento resident. I'm here today to stand with Black Lives Matter Sacramento to demand complete oversight of our police department, including its trainings. An association of police officers shouldn't be in charge of the facilitation of trainings ordered as a result of police violence on our community. Any actions the city makes that use our tax dollars towards accountability and transparency should be strictly monitored by the community it serves. As a voting member of the Sacramento community, here are my demands. Sacramento Police Commission should be empowered to approve the process and confirm the completion of each training. Training needs to be conducted on site with the exception of field trips and facilitated by experts in the field of the training's curriculum. Training should conclude with a test of understanding, and trainings need to be overseen and monitored by community members that have experiences relevant to the training. I have a minute left. Shout out to the back corner over here that is here every week, telling you guys about all the deaths that are happening on your streets. 1,000 tiny homes, cool idea. I think that we've had a year since 2 people died on these doorsteps, and to find out that we've only come up with a shelter that opened on December 1st with only 50 beds opened, and things like that, no, I don't commend to say that you're doing enough. And I do agree that we need a breakdown of where this money has been going and what it has been put into and what has been done over the last year since those deaths on our doorstep. So that way we can really understand how it is that we've only come up with 200 beds in a year's time when we can come up with feeding 100 people every Tuesday. So, have a good day.
Fair point. Thank you.
My next speaker is Fago. Next speaker is Fago, and then Trina Allen.
So I want to echo a little bit on the request from Black Lives Matter. There needs to be some major reform on the commissions that oversee it and the trainings that are going on, and a lot more accountability. I also want to address the homeless deaths. 2016, the year before our new mayor took office, there was 81 deaths on the streets of Sacramento. Last year, 118. That's a pretty sharp rise. That's for almost 50%. Almost 50% increase in homeless deaths. And yet, we keep hearing about all this money coming in, right? But the only money we see going out seems to keep going to these developers and the owners of PBIDs and public-private partnerships that are taking over public space with no give back to the communities, nothing to actually help the people. There's actually about the same amount of shelter space this year as there was last year with everything considered. Yet there's all these millions of dollars that nobody seems to be able to figure out where they're going. And then you want to keep telling us about these crumbs that you're offering. 1,000 units for tiny homes in 2 years. Yet we're getting over 1,000 people a year on the streets, new to the streets. All because these business districts and their cohorts like CADA and the housing authorities that are sitting on the board of directors of these PBIDs are making sure that rents go higher and higher and increasing police activity, petitioning to further criminalize people that they're displacing. And that never seems to be addressed. Could it be because every single one of you or your staff is sitting on the board of directors of whatever bids are in your districts? Because when I look at the board of directors, each one of you either has a staff or are on the boards yourselves. Some of you on multiple boards, which is kind of a conflict of interest, because why should these business districts be having direct, unfettered access to lobby our politicians to create change that goes against the public good?
Time is up, sir. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You have a good day.
My next speaker is Trina Allen, and then Wanda.
Good evening. It's okay. No worries.
Hello, my name is Trina Allen, and I'm a Sacramento resident. I'm here today to stand with Black Lives Matter Sacramento to demand complete oversight of our police department, including its trainings. An association of police officers shouldn't be in charge of the facilitation of trainings ordered as a result of police violence in our community. Dejan's life mattered. Joseph Mann's life mattered. Any actions that the city makes that uses our tax dollars towards accountability and transparency should be strictly monitored by the community it serves. As a voting member of the Sacramento community, here are my demands. Sacramento Police Commission should be empowered to approve the process and confirm the completion of each training. Trainings need to be conducted on-site with the exception of field trips and facilitated by experts in the field of training curriculum. Training should conclude with a test of understanding. Trainings need to be overseen and monitored by the community members that have experiences relevant to the training. Your structural anti-Black racism lies in the policies and the procedures that you have. You can do better, and you can make these changes. These are very simple changes that you can make.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Our next speaker is Wanda, and then Armando Flores.
Good evening.
Good evening. This week, I went to my Elk Grove City Council, and do you know what? They don't respond like you all do, at all. They sit and listen to us, and they respond when it was appropriate, but they don't tell any of us to get out because they don't like what I'm saying or what other people are saying. I sat here and listened to this whole ordeal, and you were throwing people out right and left because you didn't like what they were saying. It's truth. If truth you don't like, then maybe it's your turn to leave. And on top of this, if we're going to help the homeless, we need to help all of the homeless. If we're going to help, if we're going to continue, because we have 14,000 people on the street. We have 14,000 people. And do you know what? I'm getting involved with Elk Grove. I'm going to see what they do. I spoke to their equivalency to Emily Holcomb. We have meetings. I'm going to every one of them. And you know what? I think some of you guys need to tie in with them because they do have a successful thing going on. They have bought homes and have placed homeless in those homes. And the lady told me it was very successful. They've bought 3 homes now. At least they're doing something. You guys aren't doing nothing.
Armando Flores and then Mac Worthy.
Good evening. You know, it's really disturbing here when I'm sitting at this meeting and I hear all this controlling and censoring of what people can say or not say, yet City Council can ignore the speakers, be looking at their phones, be eating, and that's okay. Or if somebody comes up here and is giving you a nice compliment, they can address you directly. That's a little bit unfair. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about things that are more important, which is our city, not the people that are here. We have a big problem with homelessness. We need housing. We need shelter. 81 deaths in 2016, 118 2017. How many do we have now? And how many are we going to have at the end of this year? And who is responsible for that? I think the city needs to work on putting bathrooms and hand washing stations back in the city. We need to avoid, we have a really big problem with health and safety issues, not only for the homeless population, but also for the population at large. And that's very embarrassing that a city of the size of Sacramento and the first class that we seem to be, we do not provide bathrooms. And it's really disturbing also that now I see I can go into a store and there's no bathrooms even for the customers. That's really interesting. And I hope that happens to one of you when you go into a store to buy and they tell you to get out, there's no bathroom for you. Then you'll know what it's like to be on the streets without a bathroom and without a place to wash your hands.
Every day.
Also, we need to work on our child and human
thank you,
trafficking.
sir.
It's
Your time-
horrible,
your time
and
is
it's
up.
embarrassing that it's happening in Sacramento, and we don't have enough officers or money to tackle that problem.
Our next speaker is Mac Elworthy, and then the final speaker is Jennifer Cool Barnes.
Good afternoon, panel. My name is the Mac Elworthy. My prediction, Donald Trump will clear all the garbage in the whole house in Washington, D.C., and we will drain the swamp. Now, my first prediction that he'd be president, it comes true. But we got some sad things here in the city. Last city council meeting, you had an audit. Dale, on the arena, Dale, that's history. You was in the back room on the audit. That's history, man. That ain't helping you. That's not economic development. When you took 1,600 workers and they was trainees for $36 million, that was no money. When this city spent over $900 million, that's included fees for the attorney on that arena, and you only now got 60 employees. Where did the other money go? That's what you should be after, Dale. When you come down and said the city gets $18 million a year. That's only $1.5 million a month from the arena. And then when the audit guy was speaking of his numbers, that wasn't his numbers. Now, how you let an audit come in here and tell you that's not his numbers? What is he doing? And then you're going to kick out that over 30 years, $7 billion. We won't be here in 30 years. Folks, quit lying to people. This is what you're doing. Dale, you got to wake up and run this thing if you're going to run it. You're falling right into what I told you in the beginning. You can't move this thing on nonprofit organization. Get away from it, Dale. Get away from it. Go after economics. Go after economics. Feeding the frog ain't helping the snake. Some snakes don't go in water. Only water monster can bite a snake. What about the other snakes on dry land? Dale, go the other way. The city is suffering. Go the other way on it.
Our final speaker is Jennifer Cook Barnes.
Hello, this is my first time here. But
Welcome to you. Take your time.
My name's Jennifer Barnes Cook. Okay, I'm talking about a lot of women out there too. Because in 2013, there's a woman who got raped by 30 men and beaten for 2 days. And that woman was me. I was homeless. The thing about this, the women and men are out there doing that, and there's women out there committing suicide because of it. So you guys, it needs more people need to help the homeless out there, because me, I was out there for 10 years.
Are you homeless now?
Right now I'm staying with my family because of what happened to me. Because when I spoke up about it, I got raped again a year ago.
What can we do to help you?
Right now, I just want to help the women out there and homeless people out there sitting there saying, speaking up for them, saying that you guys need to watch out, because there's a woman just recently put a rope around her neck at Fish and Loaves, and the Fish and Loaves didn't even call the cops on her. Okay? She committed suicide at the river. So, because she went to Fish and Loaves and said I was raped, they didn't help her there. Okay, when I came out and said I was raped, and I had my face going like this, and still having injuries of it, they're sitting there saying, oh, we'll put you on leave, my sister's house and all this. But what happens to the rest of them? They're going to get back out there and get beaten and raped again. Some of them turn to drugs and alcohol. For me, it gave me a spiritual awakening. I went to NA. I have a year clean, but guess what? I'm trying. And I want to help the homeless know who they are today. And I want more help for them, the women out there too, who's at the river getting raped and and beaten out there.
Thank you so much. So, I'm just gonna say two things because to me your testimony was, yes, your testimony was very compelling. Number one, if there's anything that we as a city or any of us individually can do to help you personally, given what you've gone through, please do not hesitate. That's number one. Number two, I don't suppose what I'm about to say is going to appease some of the folks on the other side. That's not the reason I'm going to say it, but I want to admit something. It is not going fast enough. That's not to blame anybody. That's just a fact. It is not going fast enough. What I mean are comprehensive solutions to addressing homelessness. We're doing a lot of good things. And we do have plans to, we're going to put a request for information out on the street next month with the goal of getting back proposals by the spring to begin 1,000 efficiency homes. Absolutely. We're finding a way to continue to fund our triage shelter. 1, we need 3. We also need rental assistance for people who are not yet homeless but are at risk of being homeless. And I'm going to admit to you, in my opinion, in my view, it's not all going fast enough, okay? So I can promise you that you're going to get every continued ounce of effort from this city council, the city manager, this city, to help as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. That's all I can say. Let's move on. Consent calendar.
Speakers on consent calendar?
Now, we've got, Steve's going to pull an item. Councilman, Vice Mayor Hanson, go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Please.
Priority would be nice too.
Please leave. Thank you. Vice Mayor Hanson. You can't shout out from the audience here, okay? Thank you. Vice Mayor Hanson.
Mayor, I'm just going to request that item to be pulled from the consent calendar. But while I have a second here, I want to thank you for your work on whole person care, because item number 1 is a $1 million grant from the Kaiser Foundation to help support services for our homeless community. And we wouldn't have that without your work. So
thank you, Steve. Thank you.
And I'll move the consent
It's all
calendar.
of us together. It's all of us together.
I do have one speaker on the consent calendar, and then I do have one speaker on item number 2 that Vice Mayor Hanson just pulled.
Okay.
So the speaker for the consent calendar is Mac Worthy. He's speaking on items 1, 5, and 15.
Mayor and the panel, I know you have made decisions on this consent calendar, but somebody got to go on record if we ever get an attorney here to oppose, to go at. Now, Kaiser Hospital don't need the city money there. Bunny Pinnell took $1 million over there and she gave it to the Delta Show when she was city council. Now, is Kaiser getting $1 million because they're going to build downtown? You hear these people crying about a home? Dale, somebody ain't advised you properly. Kaiser Hospital got enough money on the stock market to buy 10 or 15 hospitals they want to. But I don't know where it's going, Dale, but you got to look at it from a different perspective. Now, number 5. Now, I asked about the investments. Here is the city attorney sitting here. A monthly investment. The people in the accounting can kick this out and say, what is the amount you put in the investment and what is the return? That's all we asked. This is what an audit is about. Audit is not about some past 5 years ago. I don't know where your head at, but it's sad to see that we are not going nowhere, Dale. We got to track the money. We got to track the money. It's no ifs and ands about it, Dale. You got to track the money. You got to earmark the money. You got things on here is to exempt the competitive bidding. Dale, what, is that friendship? If it can't be competitive, what is free enterprise? But that's friendship, Dale. Somebody is using you behind the door. You can't go nowhere with that. This city is not built that way. So whoever advising you behind closed doors, wake up, Dale. The same thing they done to Cabin about the arena. They advised behind closed doors, and $26 million went into illegal fees here. Wake up. It's time for this city to wake up and go in the right direction.
I have no more speakers on the consent calendar, and I do have a motion on the floor.
Vice Mayor. There's a motion and a second. Do you have anybody from?
We're going to do that next.
You're going to take
Yeah.
that separately. I get it. Okay, so all in favor of the consent calendar, absent the item that Vice Mayor Hanson pulled, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That passes on a vote of 7-0. Unanimous. Okay, let's move to the item of note.
So item number 2 is funding agreement.
Make that
for the
8-0 on the consent calendar, please. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Okay.
Item number 2 is funding agreement for the Sacramento LGBT Community Center for the Special Emergency Housing Program.
Mayor, is it okay if I
Yes,
take it from
please.
there? All right, thanks. I think we can waive a staff presentation. I just wanted to take a minute. David, if you want to come up, and you've got not only staff here, but board members from the center. This is a really special item for a few reasons. One, it's really leveraging a lot of our local money, $149,000 of local money for $595,000 of state money to help the exact people that we heard need help earlier. And your services that you provide at the LGBT Center have really made a huge difference in the community, particularly the respite program and some of the other things you're doing. But the thing that makes this even more special is, your leadership in this board at the center with your staff. You've really expanded and changed the dynamic in a way that 3 or 4 years ago we didn't think was possible. As somebody who's cared and watched the center, I think your leadership has just been phenomenal. But your board also has backed you up, and they've raised the money and you've raised the money. And now to have the center in the place where you can take this grant. And we did something similar with WIND. People knew that this was a program area they were in. But I hope that we continue to be able to support the center, your work, and these kind of programs that can help certainly the LGBT community and any other community, whether you're homeless or not, that feels you don't have access through other service providers. So we'd love to have your comments as well. And if you want, afterwards, we'll have you come up and take a quick photo. Samantha from my office is here to take that.
Thank you very much, council members.
Please.
Mr. Mayor, my name is David Heitzman. I'm the executive director at the Sacramento LGBT Community Center, and I want to first thank you for your continued recognition and attention to the housing and homelessness crisis in the region, and your willingness to take some innovative approaches and try some things that may not necessarily have been proven, but are opportunities to try and address it throughout the region. I mean, the problem is quite overwhelming, as we've heard overnight, all evening, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be starting somewhere and that we shouldn't be taking little bites as much as we possibly can to conquer the larger issue. I hope that you will support this opportunity for the center and the city to partner for the first time by leveraging our Cal OES Emergency Specialized Housing Grant with city funds. As one of the most glaring disparities experienced by the LGBTQ community is homelessness, especially amongst youth. 40% of the homeless youth living on the street in California are LGBTQ identified, and many of them end up on the street. In fact, almost all of them end up on the street because of family neglect or abuse or rejection. And this is a huge problem that goes and continues as they experience homelessness and are continuously victimized on the street. Last year at the Q-Spot Drop-In Center at the center alone, we served 600 individual youth, and more than half of them are experiencing homelessness. These are people and young people who have landed on the street and have nowhere else to turn, and we've been able to provide them a safe, welcoming space to be in all day long, to provide them food and showers and shelter for the day, but unfortunately, in the evening, have no choice but to turn them back out onto the street. So this program will provide an opportunity to provide some longer-term solutions to help address homelessness. We believe that the best opportunity for long-term solutions and to prevent long-term chronic homelessness and debilitating mental illness is to intervene early in these young people's lives. And so if we can catch them as they are newly experiencing homelessness, provide positive role models and helping them to remain housed, we can go a long way to help prevent some of the issues that we're experiencing with the older population throughout the city. We're thrilled to be launching this emergency and transitional housing program for transitional aged youth, and that will also increase the crisis responsiveness, provide case management and wraparound services that are needed to help support the long-term self-reliance and success of these young people. So I'd like to thank also the city staff and the city manager's office for their assistance in navigating this project. And again, recognize the board members and staff and some of our youth clients who are here this evening who will help be benefiting from this program. Thank you very much for your
David,
consideration.
thank you.
Thanks, David. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank Emily and Andrew for working on this from our homelessness team. And I'll take the prerogative to make a motion to approve this item.
Second. Beautiful. Right on. Councilman Chenier?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. I want to jump on this one, and I generally don't do this, but this is just so important. I just have a couple things. I mean, we know that the whole issue of homelessness is the thing that we spent most time on at this council over the last year. This population is probably within that subset most at risk. And so I just think that the level of service that you all are providing across the board continues to increase. You are a great asset to this community. Personally, if there is anything I can do, I know my wife came in, toured, and she's got some ideas on education to work together with you all, but if there's anything I can do or I think this council can do to enhance the level of service that you provide and to really seek out the populations that, again, are most at risk and are most abused on this, it's just important work, and I'm all in, so please don't hesitate. Thank you very much.
May you sooner than later have the ability and capacity to serve even more young people than you are serving. All right? Thank you for doing the most important work to be done. Thank you, Councilmember Vice Mayor Hanson. Thank you, David, and your leadership. What do we have? Councilman Carr.
That ties right into my question. What's the capacity of the program? It may be in the staff report. It's 37 pages. I couldn't find it.
Yes, it is. The program is projected to serve approximately 75 youth over the 2-year time period. Our transitional living program specifically will be able to house up to 8 youth at a time.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I said. This is a fabulous thing. Fabulous. And yet it's not enough. Celebrate. Good work. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. Thank you very much. Yeah, of course. Come on up. Yeah. Come on up for a photo, you guys. Come on, Emily and Andrew. Come on, you guys too, please.
Yeah, maybe.
Who else you want?
Well, that's not it. It's 72 hours. Oh, 75 years.
We gotta do it.
According to Jesse, it's out.
Oh, Samantha's here.
Alex Smith.
Mindy.
You're doing great work. Come on. Come on.
They're all, can you like, send to the vice mayor? I'm like, I could, but Sam's right
Doing
there.
okay? Doing all right?
I know, I was just gonna say, I know that name, and
You're not
Patricia
alone.
too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You're not alone.
Good, very
Can I
good.
shake your hand?
You bet.
Where'd you live? You're not alone. Come on.
All right, let's get together for a photo.
Here we go.
All right.
All right, right here. We go 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
You need to cut. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay. Good stuff. Okay, thank you.
I don't know why my iPad ran out of juice.
We now have one public hearing, correct, Madam Clerk? Correct. And that is item 16, the Natomas Basin Habitat Conservation Plan. Do we have a staff presentation? We'll turn it over to Councilmember Ashby. Welcome.
Evening. Hi. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Steinberg and council members. I'm Cheryl Hodge with the Community Development Department. All new development within the Natomas Basin is subject to the Natomas Basin Habitat Conservation Plan, also known as the HCP, and in accordance with the implementation agreement executed between the city and federal and state government. The HCP specifies avoidance measures and mitigation for loss of habitat and incidental take coverage. Prior to new grading, development must ensure payment of HCP fees. On an annual basis, the city considers a fee adjustment in order to ensure accuracy of the funding to implement the Natomas Basin Habitat Conservation Plan. This year, a fee increase is proposed for the 2018 construction season. Between the years 2014 through 2016, the fee remained the same and then was slightly reduced in 2017. The proposed 2018 fee adjustment per the finance model would essentially return it closer to the 2012 rate and remains well below the fee level from years 2006 through 2011. The Natomas Basin Conservancy Board and city staff recommend the City Council adopt a resolution that would increase the HCP fees. Staff and John Roberts, the Executive Director with the Natomas Basin Conservancy, are available should you have any questions. And thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ashby. Sorry.
It's okay.
Cheers.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a pretty easy item. Natomas Basin Conservancy does a terrific job for us out there, and they kept their rates as low as they could for as long as they could. They do a really good job of evaluating those as often as possible, so I'm sure should there be an opportunity to reduce them in the future, we will hear about it. I am happy to move staff's recommendation. Are there any speakers, Madam Clerk?
There are no speakers. If you would open and close the public hearing.
And I am happy to open the public hearing and then close it and move staff's recommendation.
Second. Moved and seconded. Do we have no public testimony on this? Or they? I'm sorry?
That's correct. No
That's correct. Okay. Then all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. The motion passes again unanimously. 8-0. That is our formal council agenda this evening. Are there council ideas and questions? I know I have a report that I have to make. What's it called? Yes. Yes, I'll make that last. Vice Mayor Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to make a few comments, and this is directed at the city manager and to Lachelle Dozier as the head of our housing authority. Over the weekend, we had a very serious violent crime at Marina Vista, which is one of the major public housing sites along with Alder Grove in my district. It's the largest public housing site in the entire region, 751 units. And unfortunately, what looks like a gang dispute led to 2 men dying in the exchange of gunfire. And it's not the first time. We've had several violent incidents over the last few years, including some homicides. It used to be that we had POP officers or community-oriented policing present, but what we've noticed too is that management of the site has declined over the last few years, especially after the POP officers were pulled out with the loss of a federal grant. So, Mr. City Manager, you and I have been talking. I know you had a meeting yesterday with Ms. Dozier, and we're taking some immediate steps. But I'd like Ms. Dozier to come back, maybe even next week if possible, to give an update to us on what we're doing to proactively ensure the safety of the residents who live in this public housing site. There are public housing sites owned by the city. We have a duty to ensure the residents' safety there. And the request really is looking at a few things. One, I know you've been working with Public Works on better lighting and potentially some better security with cameras and other things to ensure that residents are safe, as well as parking management. I'd also like Ms. Dozier to address the security contractor, which appears to be ineffective, that they've contracted with for the site. If the chief can provide some insight as well as to what we can do with PD to ensure the safety of the residents. And then one of the big things that's changed too is the provision of social services on the site. The agency went out to RFP and ultimately didn't choose the former provider, which was the Roberts Family Development Center, who had very deep ties into the residents of the community. We chose a different provider that ultimately failed in the provision of services and left. We've substituted a new group that never came back to us, as far as I know, and I'm not sure how that decision was made. But I do think that the community's well-being, whether it's related to jobs, healthcare, just basic services at the site. We've seen mismanagement related to the pickup and disposal of refuse on the site. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge and we are on top of this as a public housing asset that is owned by the city. And so for you as our city manager and for Ms. Dozier as our housing authority director, who we have some oversight over, I want to make sure that we have a solid plan for these residents. And I want to thank the mayor too for jumping on the phone over the weekend and talking about this. I believe we're going to go out next Monday and sit and meet with some of the public housing residents to talk about how to help them and how to tend to their needs so that these one-off violent incidents don't keep happening and we explain them away as a one-time thing. We really need to get to the root of it.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Look forward to Monday. Vice Mayor, you know, people need to see that their city officials care. Yeah. Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, that segues nicely. Mr. City Manager, a few months ago, I asked you to work with Nav Gill to come up with a board of directors as an oversight for SHRA. Working with the county, I know that Supervisor Kennedy had the same directive from that side, so I will be looking for a report back on that at some point. I don't know where it's at or if it's progressed, but I would like to hear back. And then I have one announcement. Tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., we will have a Bike Hub grand opening at the Sacramento Valley Station. The Sacramento Valley Station Bike Hub can accommodate parking for up to 60 bicycles under a controlled entry system and closed-circuit surveillance. In other words, it's a really fancy bike rack with a great capacity that will serve for the first and last mile for commuters who use the Capitol Corridor or the San Joaquin train. So it's just furthering our mobility options and trying to lower vehicle miles traveled. So I hope you can meet me out there tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. and we'll have a gala time. Good time.
Excellent. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I want to start off by congratulating John F. Kennedy High School Magnet Academy students who took first place in the Sacramento Police Department All Academy Challenge, which took place on January the 13th. Did I mention that they took first place? Okay, good. 4 high schools participated in the event, which tested their mental and physical abilities. And I just want to say good job, congratulations, way to bring home the trophy. And I think out of that are going to come a lot of wonderful officers in the future. So again, good job, John F. Kennedy. And then today, Councilmember Carr and I partnered with the Home Depot to host a hiring event at the Sam and Bonnie Pinnell Community Center. The event ended today, but if you're interested in a part-time or seasonal job, they're still hiring. And you can apply online at careers.homedepot.com. Once again, that's careers.homedepot.com in order to apply for a job and be able to get an interview and get a job as well. Did you have comments you want to make on that?
We had about 175 people show up.
Great.
And they had their representative from Atlanta to copy what we were doing here, what Home Depot was doing here. And they are paying, they asked me not to tell anyone, but they are paying above minimum wage.
Terrific.
So many of our constituents come up and talk about, the fact that we don't spend enough time and enough focus on jobs. And I just want to bring this out. This is a highlight. This says we are doing something good. There is an opportunity for 175 to be able to get jobs today, and even more if you go online at Home Depot, which is a great opportunity. And then on Saturday, February the 3rd, there's Healthy Family Day. It's going to take place at Prairie Elementary School from 10 to 1 p.m. We ask you to join us for the first annual Healthy Family Day. There's going to be free health screenings, a clothes closet, fresh produce giveaways every 30 minutes, and there's going to be so much more. It's a family-friendly event, and we encourage you to come out. And if you want more information about this event, contact my office at area code 916-808-7007. And then finally, I've been talking with the community bankers of Sacramento and the city treasurer about the RISE program. Mayor, you mentioned this program during the State of the City. RISE stands for Responsible Investments for a Stronger Economy. I'd like the city treasurer and the city manager to work with our community banks and region finance to evaluate this program for adoption by the city of Sacramento. This program would provide another source for local small businesses and entrepreneurs to access much-needed capital to start and grow local small businesses. I'd like to get a report back on the potential of this program no later than 90 days. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you. Councilman Chenier.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of announcements and then a couple of requests for the city manager. Tomorrow night, we are working with the folks in North City Farms neighborhood to try to get a community association up and running. They have their first meeting to talk about that. That'll be at Ethel Phillips Elementary School at 6:30 p.m. So if you're interested, if you live in North City Farms or the environs around there, and you're interested in a community neighborhood association, please come join us, and we'll be serving dinner as well. I believe it's from La Esperanza, so it should be very good food. Oak Park Neighborhood Association has their monthly meeting this Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Oak Park Community Center. And then Friday night is our Peace Walk. And in Oak Park this month, it will be starting at City Church. And that's Pastor Mark Meeks. It's 3860 4th Avenue. That's from 5 to 6 p.m. And then two things for the city manager. The first is I brought up, I believe it was last week, what LA Unified is doing around internships and vendor contracts, where it's actually a requirement of any vendor contract over $1 million that those vendors take school district interns, high school interns. We have a bunch of information that I will get to you, and love to see if we could bring that back as something that might be viable for the city of Sacramento to do. And I think it works really well with Thousand Strong, because one of the challenges we've had there is getting enough internships in the business community for that.
Jay, can I ask a question about that? Does that require an ordinance change or a resolution? Do you know?
LA Unified did it by resolution, but I think that we would, at a minimum, need to do a resolution, if not an ordinance. But that's what I'm asking the city manager to come back in.
Right. The simplest appropriate process so that it doesn't take as long.
Right. So I think we could do it by resolution and move forward with that. The other thing, city manager, is we are, I know we're just around the corner from February, but I wanted to talk about lifeguard services. We have lots of young people who are not only not qualified to be lifeguards, but they don't know how to swim. And that is a danger, and we go through this every year. So I would ask our Department of Youth, Parks, and Community Engagement take a look at what kind of training we're doing and recruitment around lifeguard services. We've put various amounts of money in that over the years. I think it's really important, particularly for Sacramento in the summer. So if we could get a report back on that and see if we can move that along. There's training that goes on or that has happened before during spring break. So if we could do that, that would be really helpful so that we're ready for the summer when summer comes along. Because, you know, thankfully all of our pools are open, so we want to make sure we have enough lifeguards. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of announcements. Coming up this Saturday, February 3rd at 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., come out to Steps to College over at 2093 Arena Boulevard. That's going to be at the parking lot of the Mexican Consulate's office. They're going to have a tent with all kinds of different colleges and universities there, and educational opportunities and scholarship information open to the public for anyone who wants to come. That's this Saturday, 8 a.m. From 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. There will be services in bilingual and Spanish as well for anyone who needs it. Also, save the date for Saturday, February 10th. The annual 2018 Little Saigon Lunar Flower Festival and Test Festival is beginning, and we're going to have a lot of excitement and stuff on Stockton Boulevard throughout the month of February.
You get those invitations to my office, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Councilmember Ashby.
Thanks, Mayor. Councilmember Garrett covered one of mine, the Steps to College, which is great. I'm glad you're going to be out there.
Not this year. This is the first year I won't. I will be out of town.
Well, you have a little one to take care of this weekend, but that's a great program that they have there, and I just would encourage anyone, you don't have to be a member of the Hispanic community to be a part of it. They really want to emphasize that. They're trying to gather everybody together and offer steps and pathways to college. It is a great program. They will tell you all about scholarships and financial aid and the whole thing. So I just want everybody to know that that's open to them, even though it is hosted by the consulate. They do a wonderful job with it. And then the second thing is city manager. Back in summer last year, I asked for some help identifying potential opportunities for childcare centers in the city and childcare solutions. I believe it was assigned to Arturo Sanchez, but it did not ever come back to me. So I am looking for an update on that and wondering where we're at and if there has been any progress. That is one of the mission items of the Women's Leadership Group on our efforts to retain women employees and also advance them. And then lastly, in case any of you feel like getting up early tomorrow morning and going to a really fun ribbon cutting, we get to open a new Sprouts Market in North Natomas tomorrow, which will require me and my kids to be up at 6 a.m., God help us. But the ribbon cutting is at 7 a.m., so if any of you feel like coming out there and joining us, I think they said the first 200 shoppers will receive some discount packages and fun things and giveaways and whatnot. So people in Natomas have been pretty excited about this one coming in, so I would suggest coming out early. I'm sure it'll be magnificent. I want to just take a minute to just thank the Buzz Oats group because they helped recruit this Sprouts to my district, and it has been a big request. I'm sure you have all received requests, maybe except for Jeff, for Trader Joe's everywhere in every single corner of this city. And a close second to that is the Sprout Market. So I'm really excited to get to see that open for the people of District 1. And it's, oh yeah, thank you for saying that to me. It's on Del Paso Road. So it is, ironically, directly across the street from Safeway. But at 2810 Del Paso Road. So if you come up, take Del Paso Road and turn right, you will be there immediately. It's the first corner, right by In-N-Out Burger. So if you feel like coming up, you should come check it out. Be a good time in the morning. Bright and early, 7. Also, if any of you are there, you could help prop me up. That would be incredibly helpful. Coffee? I'm sure there will be coffee, yes. I hope.
I'm sure. Councilman Carr.
Thank you, Mayor. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the Pinnell Center, we're hosting a community forum on gun violence. It's being spearheaded by Deborah Nelson. I don't know if you remember Deborah, but it was her daughter who was killed at the barbershop on Stockton trying to protect her son and absorbed a bullet. And now she is, say again? And now she's stepping up to start a dialogue on gun violence. Her husband, former husband, Richard Nelson, also decided to do something positive with that sad incident by starting the Hawk Institute, which mentors both girls and boys. And we're proud to sponsor that out of the District 8 office. So that's tomorrow from 10 to 12 at the Pinnell Center.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Carr. Vice Mayor Hanson.
Thanks, Mayor. Mr. Schneer reminded me that I forgot something very big that happened today that several of us were at, which was the 20-year culmination of the B Street Theaters project. And, we took a very tough vote here to help try to close a gap. Sutter Health matched our contribution, and then the Saccopolises came in with a name, which is a beautiful name, Sophia, after Angelo's wife, which means wisdom and skill in Greek. And it's a great name, and the building is beautiful. One of their staff, who's a brilliant actress and is helping to run the organization now, she said we went from an outhouse to a penthouse. And it is a palace, at least. And I think we should all be very proud because they're also scheduling all those tours or all those visits to our districts. And they're going to be bringing a ton of kids to the theater from all over the city and helping them see that they can be more than whatever it is at that moment if they just dream a little. So it was a very beautiful morning.
Congratulations to all of you who cast that vote, really. Yep. Yep, sure did. So, last but not least, I want to appoint Vice Mayor Hanson as an alternate to the Regional Sand Board. I know you and the public have been anxiously awaiting that decision, but now it is made. So,
a point of information, Mr. Mayor, does being an alternate also make him the alternate to the sewer district as well? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
The Sacramento Sanitation District too.
Want to add that or not?
Mayor, one of the fundamental principles of being vice mayor is that I serve at the pleasure of the council.
I guess you're appointed as the alternate to the sewer board too. Good, let's add that. Good. All right.
Remember this moment.
Thank you. So I want to make my, what you call it, 1, 2, 3, 4 report, because last week I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it was my third conference. This was back in Washington, D.C., and it was a very productive couple of days. Not only the opportunity to meet with a number of the country's mayors, some real intense focus on my fellow mayors from California. Pleased to announce that they elected me as the next president or chair of the so-called Big 11 cities, which is an organization that works with the League of California Cities, but representing the interests of the biggest 11 cities in the state. And so I will take that responsibility from Mayor Garcetti from Los Angeles and work on their #1 priority, which happens to be at least among our #1 priorities, and that is housing, 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 and homelessness. And you know, we all feel that the legislature did a good job last year, the governor did a good job last year, but there's a lot more to do. And so I'll take that task on behalf of our city and the other mayors, and that's my report. Thank you. If there's nothing further to come before the city council, any more appointments? That's it. We are adjourned.